Deng Shentong said. Actually, your ability should really be deduction, shouldn't it? You can use all known information to deduce what is about to happen. On the surface, it looks a lot like reincarnation, but it's not actual experience. The results of the deduction will also have discrepancies compared to reality, unable to completely match. The smile on the corner of Deng Shentong's mouth deepened. He adjusted his white gloves. The back of the gloves had a splendid golden emblem, elegant and noble like a painting. Did you deduce my death today? Cao Chang Kong sighed lightly. I didn't expect my ability to be seen through by you. You're right, I truly cannot reverse life and death, but... His smile deepened, and he narrowed his eyes at Deng Shentong. I can still see reincarnation, and at the very end of reincarnation, I saw your existence. He slowly opened his eyes, a pure, murderous intent appearing. Today, you have a death omen on your face. Deng Shentong chuckled faintly. He reached inside his belt and pulled out a military knife, made of adamantium metal. You want to kill me? Can you do it? Among the 6 investigation teams only, you are not a pure combat type. You don't actually think you can defeat me, do you? The reincarnation team's Chao Chang Kong's true ability was reincarnation deduction. He could use all known intelligence to deduce all possible future events provided he centered the deduction on someone. Today his subject was Commander Chu Jung because the person he wanted to kill was Commander Chu Jung. However, the unexpected appearance of the revived Deng Shentong was outside the scope of his deduction. Thus, Cao Chang Kong's ability lost its effectiveness. And without this advantage, his personal combat strength was probably only at the level of a deputy team leader. A smile played on Cao Chang Kong's face. His attitude somewhat arrogant, but his eyes were completely focused. At most, in half an hour, Tu Yunli and Zhang Yi will return. If within this half hour I can kill you rebels, that would be best. Even if I can't, I can stall for time until they return. Regardless of the outcome, you have already lost. Cao Chang Kong sighed. Haven't you understood my meaning yet? Your appearance was also within my predictions. This statement caused Deng Shentong to tremble slightly. What do you mean by that? Cao Chang Kong looked at him and said, I never thought that you would be killed by miscellaneous trash like the wolfmen. He spread his hands. Your appearance today was also within my predictions. Deng Shentong was shocked. Knowing I was alive, you still dared. Awesome. Because I don't care, Cao Chang Kong directly interrupted him. He suddenly smiled. Deng Shentong, I also want to ask you a question. If, from the beginning, I had planned to get revenge on the entire high-level stratum of Blizzard City, do you think I would reveal my true ability? Also, a reminder, my ability isn't something that can only be used once a day. Deng Shentong's heart jolted. What did Cao Chang Kong's words mean? He knew he was alive. In other words, his appearance today, leading the entire New Angel team, was also within his predictions. And what was this about? Hiding his true strength. Cao Chang Kong didn't give Deng Shentong time to think. Immediately afterward, a familiar voice echoed beside his ear. Combat arena open. The space around them was quickly stretched. In front of Deng Shentong, only Cao Chang Kong remained, and they were no longer in the command room. Instead, they had appeared in a pitch-black space. This is the combat arena? Deng Shentong's face showed shock. He immediately realized that the ability user who possessed the combat arena was also participating in the reincarnation team's rebellion. What happened next was quicker than thought Deng Shentong's body acted before his mind could fully process. The Great Sumeru illusion was activated. He controlled the light to create illusions that could affect the 5 senses. However, Cao Chang Kong said calmly, I have fought against you many times in reincarnation loops. I have long thoroughly researched your abilities. He tapped the area near his temple. A pair of obsidian seal eyeglasses was placed on his head. As long as the light is blocked, your ability won't affect me. This is very easy to do, isn't it? Actually, no matter how strong an ability user's power is, as long as there is enough intelligence and preparation time, it is very easy to break. Deng Shentong swung his arm, his cloak billowing. So what my abilities are absolutely not limited to just this one type. A silver holy light covered his entire body. The holy body blessing ability could make him a top-close combat expert, and his sword art was equally refined. Cao Chang Kong quirked his mouth into a smile. But as I also said at the end of the reincarnation, I saw you dead. Actually, it's not easy to hide your true strength from the countless eyes in Blizzard City. Speaking of this, I even have a bit of admiration for that ability. User from outside the city. Cao Chang Kong's eyes turned cold. Today, let me show you my true strength. He stood in the dark space, his eyes unable to see, but his other senses were enhanced to a deeper level. All of this was prepared for Deng Shentong. In reincarnation, he didn't know how many times he had tried, and didn't know how many times he had failed. But now his other senses could perfectly replace his eyes. As Cao Chang Kong's voice fell, bizarre talisman seals appeared from the void behind him. They were blue talisman seals like patterns appearing in the void, then entwining and condensing together. Finally forming giant characters, the characters were etched into the void, which manifested as stones. Fragmented stones slowly and rhythmically combined together, finally forming a giant spinning wheel behind him. The 6 large characters formed from the talisman seals were clearly the Buddhist seals from the Sanskrit Heavenly Might Treasure Wheel. Cao Chang Kong Mod hand seals, with both hands corresponding to the 6 Buddhist seals on the Heavenly Might Treasure Wheel. Behind him a Kala seal, the seal of the immovable Wisdom King, appeared. Thick and ancient armor quickly formed on his body. Cao Chang Kong changed his hand, seal again. Sun Wheel seal, the seal of the Heavenly Might Treasure Wheel, lit up. A giant treasure sword radiating sacred light condensed in his palm. The sacred item. Sun Wheel sword, his final hand seal was joining his hands together. Meditation seal. Immediately his eyes changed. They were devoid of ripples, looking towards Deng Shentong, yet seemingly piercing through him, looking at the endless river of time. Startled for a moment, the stars in his eyes dissipated. Deng Shentong, I have deduced your future. Deng Shentong was stunned by the scene before him. Heavenly Might Treasure Wheel. This ability had never been recorded in Blizzard City. This meant that during his time performing missions in Blizzard City, this ability had been very well hidden. However, this didn't make Deng Shentong feel fear. Instead, it made him smirk, the excitement in his heart growing even stronger. Then let us fight. His body shone brightly. It was the power of the praise of light, making him look like a descending deity. He transformed into a streak of light holding his sword, and lunged towards Cao Chang Kong. In Tianhai City, Zhang Yi had finally finished absorbing the power of Canute and Mayumi Kuchi. Canute was a deputy team leader. His origin source provided an enhancement to Zhang Yi, but was not very effective. However, what Zhang Yi didn't expect was that Mayumi Kuchi's power brought him a miraculous effect. Her ability was extremely rare, 1 in a million, a temporal ability. After absorbing her origin source, a power that had been hidden within Zhang Yi's body for a long time began to awaken. Slowly he felt his body fill with a strange power. When he opened his eyes again, looking at the world, everything became strange. From that day onwards, everything he saw with his naked eyes would no longer be the same as before. Others looked at this captain of the Sky Hound team with anticipation and respect. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said to Yang Xin, Liang Yue, and the others, "You all rest well here. Let Chu Keni help you heal. I will go now and return soon." "Yep." Wu Di said, "Then I will send a helicopter right away. It will take you back." "What got?" Zhang Yi shook his head. "A helicopter is too slow. By the time I get back, they might have already finished the banquet there." Everyone felt a bit helpless. Cao Chang Kong's goal was to lure them away. There was nothing better they could do. "Captain, what are you planning to do then? We don't have any transportation faster than a helicopter," Zhang Yi said indifferently. "I have something better." After he finished speaking, he took a step forward. In the next instant, he had appeared 1,000 meters away. His figure flickered, and he disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. This scene left everyone speechless. The better method Zhang Yi spoke of turned out to be traveling manually by foot, but for Zhang Yi, who had spatial movement ability, this was indeed faster. "The captain's power has become stronger," Bai Li Changqing exclaimed. "I still remember that his spatial movement wasn't this far back then." Wu Dai also nodded. "That's why he's the captain." Although everyone was worried about the situation in Blizzard City, they were all severely injured now and couldn't help. Fortunately, the local forces in Tianhai City had arrived and took them to Zhang Yi's hidden place. Chu Keni was there, so as long as they could survive until they got there, even if they lost hands or legs, they could still be treated. In Blizzard City, the command center was covered by a giant black barrier. Outside, tens of thousands of soldiers had gathered. Gunfire echoed through the sky, but no one could enter. Because Commander Chu Cheng was inside, they were also slightly hesitant and couldn't use overly powerful bombing methods to attack. At this moment outside the command room, the Reincarnation team and the New Angel team had already launched an extremely brutal slaughter. The 4 team captains had all chosen to enter different battlefields to fight. This was actually to protect their team members. Otherwise, in such a cramped space, if they truly fought, everyone would die from the aftermath of the battle. But everyone understood clearly that the key to victory lay with the 4 team captains. In the solo field, the battle between Tia Yushen and Sun Luoxuan was extremely bloody. Everything Sun Luoxuan cultivated were killing moves without any fancy tricks. coupled with his eagerness to leave this area to protect Commander Chu Jung. Every move was a killing blow. However, for Tai Yushen, all of his techniques were already as familiar as the back of his hand. For today's operation, Cao Changkong had considered all possible scenarios and simulated them countless times. Every detail had been clearly considered by them. The battle between Tia Yushen and Sun Luoxuan had also gone through countless iterations. Cao Changkong had coached him every step of the way. Even every move and technique of Sun Luoxuan had been thoroughly analyzed and fed into Tia Yushen's mind. In the end, after the 80-second simulation, the result was a draw between the two sides. Therefore, Tia Yushen's goal today was very simple. He never expected to be able to kill Sun Luoxuan. From the beginning, his fighting style was mainly defensive. However, in another battleground, the confrontation between Dang Shentong and Cao Changkong was much more terrifying. After no longer hiding his strength, Cao Changkong had revealed his powerful combat prowess. The Heavenly Might treasure wheel granted him immense fighting strength. The Akala armor was mainly for defense. The Sun Wheel sword was mainly for killing. He was mighty and imposing like a Dharma. King protecting Buddhism fiercely, battling Dang Shentong. Being born into a wealthy family, Dang Shentong had practiced sword art since he was young. However, he practiced Western sword art. His sword was slender and long, its tip sharp, constantly aimed at the central part of Cao Changkong's body. The flower sword and the Sun Wheel sword clashed repeatedly, emitting dazzling sparks in the void. Dang Shentong fought with increasing shock. The moment he attacked Cao Changkong seemed to have anticipated it long ago, easily parrying. I already told you I saw your dying form at the end of the reincarnation cycle. You have no chance of winning against me. Dang Shentong. A faint smile blossomed on the corner of Cao Changkong's mouth. It was a confident, fearless smile. Lion seal. He made a hand seal with one hand again. The seal at one corner of the Heavenly Might. Treasure wheel behind him lit up. From the center of the giant spinning wheel, a faint figure of 3 lions emerged and roared at Dang Shentong. The space trembled. That roar made Dang Shentong feel as if his internal organs were all shaking. Pfft! He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, Dang Shentong found it hard to believe. In a combat scenario, he was being suppressed by Cao Changkong. The close combat ability, he was so proud of his sophisticated, fake death. Cao Changkong had seen clearly. How many times can your deduction ability actually be used? Dang Shentong asked in a low voice. Cao Changkong smiled and said, Anyway, it's not just once. Want to know? He raised the index finger of his left hand and pointed at Dang Shentong. Try with your life and you'll know. The meditation seal was activated once again. The trajectory of the future was constantly being shifted. Cao Changkong was like a tinker, constantly patching the damaged spots, but as long as he could obtain enough information to deduce, he would always be the winner. Now first, kill Dang Shentong, then kill Commander Chu Jung, and then they could easily escape. Blizzard City Zhang Yi and Tu Yunli were not here, and the other team captains were also absent. No one in Blizzard City could stop them anymore. However, at this moment, Zhang Yi arrived. He saw the giant black barrier, like a crystal coffin, but he didn't rush into action. On his communicator, he was still in contact with Commander Chu Jung. Commander Chu, how is the situation on the ground? I am rushing back as fast as possible. Please rest assured I will definitely do my best to rescue everyone. Zhang Yi's words were full of concern, but his eyes were calmly looking at the headquarters building. Adding flowers to brocade is not as good as sending charcoal in snowy weather. If he wanted to act, he had to act at the most crucial moment. If he wanted to gain favor, he naturally had to perform such a great kindness to maximize his own benefits. Commander Chu Jung heard Zhang Yi's words and felt a bit touched. Will you make it in time? Although I am injured now for Commander Chu and the future of the entire Jiangnan district, I must also stake my life to stop Cao Changkong. Zhang Yi said with solemn vows. Commander Chu Jung was a little moved in his heart. Zhang Yi was in that situation in Tianhai City, yet he still didn't forget to come back to save him. It seemed he had too many preconceptions about Zhang Yi before. Cao Changkong is fighting Dang Shentong. My bodyguards are being held back by Tia Yushen. The situation is very chaotic now. The people from the reincarnation team want to kill me. The Dang family is protecting me. Zhang Yi, you must come back here quickly. We need strong support. Commander Chu Jung also understood that only the appearance of a team captain level figure could change the current critical situation. Zhang Yi nodded vigorously. Don't worry, I'm already rushing forward at full speed. Don't hang up. I need to understand the situation on the ground at all times. Please remember that. D? Munded Band. Commander Chu Jung didn't know what Zhang Yi intended, but he needed Zhang Yi now, so he nodded in agreement. Zhang Yi sat not far from the central command building, chewing on energy food while listening to the sounds of battle coming through his earphone. He thought of a method mentioned in school before about patching pots. The bottom of the owner's pot had a hole, so they invited a tinker to patch it. While scraping off the soot at the bottom of the pot, the tinker secretly hit the pot a few more times when the owner wasn't paying attention, making the crack larger. Then he pointed to the crack and told the owner, "The crack in your pot is very big. It's a good thing I found it and helped you. Otherwise, it would have been damaged even more later." The owner was very happy, thinking the tinker had helped them a lot and even paid extra. In the end, the owner was happy, and the tinker was also happy. Zhang Yi at this moment was like that tinker. He was waiting for the crack in the bottom of the pot to become larger. Tai Yushen held back Sun Luoxuan. The battle between the two of them could not be decided in a short time, but on Dong Shentong and Cao Chang Kong's side. The situation was becoming increasingly unfavorable for Dong Shentong. Cao Chang Kong was much stronger than he had imagined. The ability of the Heavenly Might treasure wheel, using only 4 mudras, had already made it impossible for Dong Shentong to resist. Cao Chang Kong coldly pointed at him with the Sunwheel sword. "You were able to become a team captain that everyone acclaimed entirely because you are the young master of the Dang family. Dang Shentong's pride was severely trampled. A mouthful of fresh blood spurted from his mouth, and he was directly knocked out of the arena by Cao Chang Kong, falling heavily before Commander Chu Zheng. The members of the 2 investigation teams simultaneously stopped fighting. The members of the reincarnation team smiled, seemingly not surprised by the outcome. But the people on Commander Chu Zheng's side fell into deep fear. Before, they were never afraid because they knew Dong Shentong was behind them, but they didn't expect Dong Shentong to be defeated by Cao Chang Kong. If the last time he lost to Hayami Kyoma could be excused by being betrayed by an internal mole, this loss to Cao Chang Kong was entirely due to being inferior in strength. Commander Chu Zheng's voice couldn't help but tremble. Although he was a battle-hardened soldier at his age, he couldn't disregard the threat to his life. You had such strength before. Why didn't you let us know earlier? If so, I would definitely have cultivated you well. Who knows, I might have even let you become the next commander." Commander Chu Zheng tried to use this method to appease Cao Chang Kong. Cao Chang Kong chuckled coldly. "Oh, you would do that. It's not like I didn't give you an opportunity. Actually, this time's operation to encircle and annihilate. True Moon was entirely orchestrated by me. As long as you people yield the opportunity to me, let me be the protagonist of the event. I could have waited longer." He sighed, shaking his head with a hint of regret, but in his eyes power was greater than everything. Rather than letting an outsider whose strength was unclear take the lead, they wouldn't even give him a chance. "I have given up all illusions about you people." Cao Chang Kong held the Sunwheel sword and walked step by step towards Commander Chu Zheng. Dong Shentong struggled to get up. None of the members of the new angel team behind him retreated. "It seems this time I really have to risk my life," Cao Chang Kong sneered. "You plan to use medicine, but you should also know clearly that your potential has long been pushed to its limit by the Dang conglomerate's science and technology and even despicable tricks. Even if you use more medicine, your strength won't increase much. It will only make you die faster." "I see you are..." Dang Shentong sneered, his mouth full of blood. "Anyway, you have to try to find out." He calmly injected himself with compound number 5. Immediately afterward, a surge of even stronger power exploded from within his body. Dang Shentong raised the flower sword in his hand and aimed it directly at Cao Chang Kong in front of him. An incomparably terrifying power surged from the tip of the sword, reaching Cao Chang Kong in an instant. Cao Chang Kong's left hand had already finished forming a mudra. The 5th mudra of the Heavenly Might treasure wheel lit up. A large treasure bottle condensed into form in front of Cao Chang Kong, its mouth pointing directly at Dong Shentong. All of the incomparably terrifying power was completely absorbed into the treasure bottle. Dang Shentong gritted his teeth and roared furiously, continuing to unleash his power. The body of the treasure bottle let out a cracking sound, and a crack appeared. Cao Chang Kong's face couldn't help but change, although he could deduce all of Dong Shentong's attack methods and trajectories. When a team captain began to fight desperately, he couldn't remain calm and respond easily. "Akala!" Cao Chang Kong roared loudly. A giant phantom of the immovable Wisdom King appeared behind him, its 2 arms spread wide, embracing him tightly in its embrace. The treasure bottle could no longer withstand Dong Shentong's power and exploded with a loud boom. The terrifying energy spread outwards. The tall building was affected by this surge of energy. All the bulletproof glass covering the exterior shattered, blown away by the shockwave. Even the structure inside the building was greatly damaged. Thus, the view became unobstructed. All images were captured by Zhang Yi in the distance. He saw Cao Chang Kong retreat several steps, spitting blood, and Dong Shentong, eyes wide and red, also spitting out a large pool of blood. His condition at this moment was not good. The two team captains had fought to the point where both sides were injured. Zhang Yi slowly stood up at this moment. It was time for him to enter the stage. The heroes in stories always appear at the most crucial moments to save the situation and hold the line when the city is about to fall. He held his divine cane in his right hand and walked out of the command room. He hovered in midair, a mass of black dark matter covering the divine cane in his hand like a burning dark flame. Zhang Yi's sudden appearance on the battlefield attracted everyone's attention. Someone recognized the symbol of the Skyhound team captain on him. It's the captain of the Skyhound team Chaos ability user. He's here. Great. The commander will be saved. Excitement showed on the faces of many soldiers below, relieved of the burden in their hearts. Almost everyone looked up at Zhang Yi, looking up at a star of hope. But there were also some whose eyes were vacant, their expressions grim. Zhang Yi didn't care about the shouts from below. He swung the divine cane in his hand, slashing directly at the black barrier in front of him. The barrier, as sturdy as glass, shattered with a crash. At this moment, the command center became bright again. At the same time, the dark matter, like a raging fire, poured into the building, burning fiercely. The building crumbled, the entire floor covered in dark matter. This mass of dark matter rushed towards the members of the reincarnation team. Everyone was extremely shocked, especially Cao Chang Kong. For the first time, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes, because no matter how he deduced, he couldn't have imagined that Zhang Yi, after undergoing such a tragic battle, would not only not die, but could also arrive at the battlefield with such speed. Treasure, bottle, seal. Cao Chang Kong immediately formed a mudra, summoning the treasure bottle to resist the power of this move. Zhang Yi quietly hovered outside the building, looking down inside. At this moment, he was like a deity. After devouring the origin sources of several team captains and deputy team leaders, his strength had also increased greatly. Now his spatial power was enough to allow him to break free from the pull of gravity. Cao Chang Kong, I have come to seek revenge on you. The divine cane. In Zhang Yi's hand radiated the power of Black Void, pointing directly at Cao Chang Kong. With Zhang Yi's appearance, the situation on the battlefield was immediately reversed. At this moment, Commander Chu Zheng's heart, which had been pounding in his throat, also relaxed a bit. In his heart he thought, fortunately Zhang Yi is here. If he had arrived one step later, I'm afraid we would all have died here. Deng Shentong, his mouth full of blood, had to accept the fact that he couldn't defeat Cao Chang Kong, but Zhang Yi's appearance comforted him a little. At least Commander Chu Zheng wouldn't die because of his failure. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi with awe. Gratitude. All sorts of emotions intertwined, but one thing was certain. Zhang Yi's prestige in the eyes of ordinary soldiers and the high-ranking officials in Blizzard City had reached its highest point ever. Savior. This word appeared in everyone's minds. So, arriving early is not as good as arriving at the right time. On the reincarnation team's side, the situation became less optimistic. Cao Chang Kong was heavily injured by Deng Shentong's desperate blow. If he faced Zhang Yi and Deng Shentong at the same time, his chance of winning would certainly not be high. However, Cao Chang Kong had his own way. Meditation, seal deduction. He once again used his reincarnation deduction ability, trying to foresee the future of this battle with Zhang Yi as the target. After a moment, a smile appeared on his mouth, because in the future he saw he was still the final victor. Cao Chang Kong held the Sun Wheel sword and stood on the rubble. Zhang Yi, Deng Shentong. Come at me together. This Cao Chang Kong is not afraid. Fearless Lion Seal activated, attacking directly. Suddenly, Cao Chang Kong, who was fighting Zhang Yi in the air, shifted his attack and turned to kill Commander Chu Zheng. As long as he killed Commander Chu Zheng, everything would be over.